G'day, it's weekly wind-up time again on KLTV. I'm Dave Hodgson. Thanks for inviting me in today. A few weeks ago, my colleague Helen Ashcroft discussed the recent Brexit controversy from a local business hub point of view. This week, we have a differing perspective on it from Steven Leigh of the Mid-Yorkshire Chamber of Commerce. Steven, thanks for coming in and being our guest today. So, the dust's settling, allegedly, yet there are still claims and counterclaims by both the Better In campaign and the Brexiteers. You're the people at the sharp end of the business, aren't you? What's your take on it, for instance, within the last few days? The papers have said it's not happening. The people who want us to stay in are wrong. No, there's been no catastrophe. And yet in the same breath, they're saying small to medium-sized enterprises are saying that their confidence has never been so low.
Well, perhaps some SMEs are saying that, but the SME members of our chamber are saying anything but that. Business goes on as usual. They are not being as badly affected by the Brexit as the fear campaign would have allowed. It just hasn't happened in the way that people were given to understand it. And so for every item of news which says that SMEs are being terribly affected, there's another item of news saying the stock markets are riding high, the exchanges are recovering somewhat, business is good, let's get on with it. And our take on it at the Chamber of Commerce is that throughout the campaign, we were strictly neutral. We've got many members, about 1,000 members, and we were strictly neutral because we want to keep everybody happy, and some thought stay, and some thought go, and we were neutral. And the reality is now we have a result, and we strongly believe in the democracy of that result. And so therefore, the bleating and the protestations from the Remain campaign, in my view, and the view of the chambers down in Westminster, is that they're irrelevant. In this part of the country, the mandate was 58-42. That's a tremendous mandate.
It's a majority, but in other places it wasn't so pronounced, wasn't it? And you forgive me for saying, but you do seem to be writing off the people who wanted to remain in as if they didn't matter.
I think they matter very greatly. I think democracy matters. And had the result been the other way around, I'm sure the people that wanted to leave would have been disappointed at the result. However, that doesn't take us forward. We've had a mandate to leave the EU, and what the British Chambers of Commerce and ourselves are saying is let us now get together and get on with it. And, you know, we're losing momentum while we continue to argue what is probably a futile argument. Mm-hmm.
You're in touch with both big business and SMEs in Kirklees and generally the Yorkshire area, aren't
Yes.
you? Is there any difference in how they're interpreting Brexit?
Well, the thing is that many people seem to forget. Brexit...
Or are they just ignoring it?
Brexit doesn't happen until we leave the EU.
It's Article 50 has to be
invoked, and then there's a 2-year period. So, you know, we've not left the EU yet. With all of the old rules prevail. The vast majority of companies are unaffected directly by Brexit. I say directly because there'll be some price inflation in the supply chains that could affect the smaller SMEs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you drive around Kirklees, call in a shop, call in a typical business. They are not directly affected.
You'd never know anything had happened. Well, in fact, it hasn't, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And so, yeah, all of the fear is because of the campaign which was waged for staying in, and it was called Project Fear. And really, I actually think that much of the result is down to the British public not wishing to be treated in that manner. Mm-hmm. It was a reaction against the political establishment.
I'm getting the distinct impression that you were a Brexiter, but shall we let that by?
Well, likewise, I'm getting the distinct impression you will remain. That's irrelevant.
You would be correct, but like you, I remain totally neutral when it comes to working here.
Well, I was totally neutral for the whole period of the campaign. That's what Chambers of Commerce
Me too. But it doesn't matter now.
And that's what we did. And it's irrelevant. Had you thought the opposite to what you thought, and had I thought the opposite to what I thought, it really doesn't matter, because as a result, this is like trying to say, if your local MP is elected and there's a different party to your choice, it's not going to make any difference. Your choice will not be taking a seat at the Houses of Parliament. So let's just be constructive. We're all part of the great British nation, and there are tremendous opportunities to be taken from being outside of the EU.
Right. So what practical help and advice are you able to offer your members? You've got a rolling programme of events and teaching for members. How does it operate, and to whom is it available?
Well, it's available to all of the members free of charge, and to many businesses at a small charge for an event. But a good example of that is next week, on Thursday next week, at the National Coal Mining Museum, we're holding an event titled The Bank of England and Brexit 3 months on. And we've got two excellent speakers. A guy from the Bank of England who's a master's degree economist there, and the chief economist from the British Chambers of Commerce down in London, who's a master's degree economist from the Chambers. And they are going to analyse now 3 months have elapsed since the Brexit, just how it's been affected. And the Bank of England will be telling us their role in all of this. Because immediately after the referendum, the bank had a very, very important part to play. That was bringing stability back into the markets, which were bound to be volatile, given the result. And I mean, some people have even criticised the bank for giving too much impetus into the economy, because they injected a further £80 billion of quantitative easing. So they'll be explaining their rationale behind that, and indeed their rationale behind what seems like a minuscule reduction in the interest rate from 0.5 to 0.25. Now, the Bank of England will be saying that, you can say it was an overkill now, but you can never know what the result would have been if we'd not done it.
Right.
And that's the crux of the whole argument with Brexit.
Indeed.
If the vote had been the other way around, would we have actually been better off in staying in Europe?
I can understand that.
And when I have debates on this, as I do all the time in my position at the Chamber, let's suppose there'd been no such referendum, that we were in Europe right now. There's very, very little that you or I could take from Europe and say, wow, isn't that good? Isn't that smashing? No, it's all doom and gloom throughout Europe right now. The euro currency itself is a disaster. Many economies... That's
debatable, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's an interesting debate. I was going on to say many economists have said that from the start, and for every economist that says that, another one says, no, it isn't a disaster.
We must move on, though, because time's pressing. Finally, then, how do firms and businesses join your organisation? Is there any criteria for joining?
No criteria from our part. I think that businesses that want to be in business for the long term and want to get started and know the people to meet for contacts and those people to do business with, joining a Chamber of Commerce anywhere in the country is an excellent thing to do. And it's very easy. A one-man band, a sole trader just starting off, can join the Chamber for £80 a year. It's not a lot of money. And even, a mid-sized SME with 100 employees can join for £300 or £400. And so not only do they get the opportunity for all the networking and business-to-business opportunities that are presented, but they get the benefit of people like me throughout the Chamber organisation that will speak on their behalf, because they've not got the time to go to the meetings themselves and enunciate their
They're
views.
too busy doing what they do, business.
They have no option but to do business.
I could go on talking for hours on this, but we're out of time. So thanks to Steven Leigh of the Mid-Yorkshire Chamber of Commerce for guesting today. If you've got any comment to make on what we've been talking about today, or indeed on any other KLTV programme, contact us by email info@kirkleeslocaltv.com or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. I'm Dave Hodgson, and I'm already looking forward to meeting you again some other time. Take care of yourself. Bye.